Would you risk everything, your career, your church, even your reputation, to defend what you believe is the absolute truth? Or would you change your beliefs to keep pace with the latest discoveries and cultural shifts? This very question tore American Protestantism apart in the early 20th century and still challenges Christians today. The Modernist-Fundamentalist Controversy stands as one of the most defining and disruptive episodes in American religious history. It began as theological tension within Protestant churches and seminaries in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, evolving into a sweeping cultural and institutional battle over the authority of Scripture and Christianity's relationship to modernity. The roots of this conflict stretch back to the Enlightenment, where scientific rationalism and historical criticism challenged traditional Christian claims. Many European theologians re-examined core doctrines in light of new discoveries in geology, biology, sociology, and literary criticism. German higher criticism, in particular, approached the Bible as a historical document to be analyzed critically, unsettling many American Protestants who had long held Scripture as directly inspired and inerrant. By the late 1800s, these modernist ideas crossed the Atlantic and found fertile ground in American seminaries and pulpits. Institutions like Union Theological Seminary in New York and the University of Chicago Divinity School began embracing theological liberalism, emphasizing ethics over dogma, focusing on the moral teachings of Jesus rather than miracles or substitutionary atonement, and viewing God more as a benevolent Father and humanity as inherently good. This shift alarmed many pastors, theologians, and lay leaders who insisted on the fundamentals of Christian faith: biblical inerrancy, the virgin birth, the bodily resurrection, substitutionary atonement, and the reality of miracles. Between 1910 and 1915, a series of 12 volumes titled The Fundamentals was published and distributed widely, funded by oil magnates Lyman and Milton Stewart. These essays, authored by prominent conservative scholars and pastors, marked the emergence of fundamentalism as a movement devoted to defending Orthodox Protestant beliefs. The divide became public in the 1920s, with the Presbyterian Church USA, then the nation's largest Protestant denomination, serving as a major battleground. J. Gresham Machen, a brilliant New Testament scholar at Princeton Theological Seminary, became a leading fundamentalist voice. In his 1923 book, Christianity and Liberalism, Machen argued that modernist theology was not merely a different interpretation of Christianity, but an entirely different religion that rejected historic orthodoxy. Opposing him was Harry Emerson Fosdick, pastor of New York's First Presbyterian Church and a vocal advocate for liberal theology. In his famous 1922 sermon, "Shall the Fundamentalists Win?" Fosdick challenged rigid dogmatism and urged the church to embrace scientific discoveries and modern thought. The sermon ignited fierce controversy. Conservatives demanded Fosdick's removal, but he was supported by his brother-in-law, John D. Rockefeller Jr., who later established Riverside Church in New York as a platform for Fosdick's progressive vision. The conflict spilled beyond seminaries and pulpits into the public eye during the 1925 Scopes monkey trial in Dayton, Tennessee. John T. Scopes, a high school teacher, was prosecuted for teaching evolution, violating a new state law. The trial featured William Jennings Bryan, a three-time presidential candidate and devout evangelical, as prosecutor, and Clarence Darrow, a famed agnostic defense attorney representing Scopes. Broadcast nationally, the courtroom became a symbol of the battle between tradition and modernity. Although Scopes was found guilty, the trial damaged fundamentalism's public image, painting it as anti-intellectual and out of touch. Meanwhile, denominational conflicts continued to escalate. In 1929, when Princeton Seminary began leaning toward theological liberalism, Machen and other conservatives left to found Westminster Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, dedicated to preserving Reformed orthodoxy. When liberal missionaries were supported by the Presbyterian Board of Foreign Missions, Machen founded an independent board for Presbyterian foreign missions, leading to his suspension and the formation of the Orthodox Presbyterian Church in 1936. The Baptist world experienced similar upheaval. In the Northern Baptist Convention, liberals gained control of denominational boards and seminaries, much to the frustration of conservatives. Groups like the General Association of Regular Baptist Churches and the Conservative Baptist Association emerged as alternatives for those rejecting liberal theology. What made this controversy so enduring was that it was about more than doctrine. It was a struggle for cultural and institutional control. Churches, seminaries, mission boards, and publishing houses became arenas for competing visions of Christianity. Fundamentalists viewed the conflict as a battle between truth and apostasy, while modernists believed they were rescuing Christianity from irrelevance. Both sides were deeply convinced of their righteousness and uncompromising, fracturing many churches and unsettling believers. In the decades following, fundamentalism retreated into independent churches, Bible colleges, and parachurch organizations, building a parallel infrastructure to preserve doctrine and evangelistic zeal. Meanwhile, mainline denominations largely embraced theological liberalism and social reform, though many suffered numerical decline. After World War II, a shift began with the rise of neo-evangelicalism. Leaders like Billy Graham, Carl F. H. Henry, and Harold Ockenga sought to retain fundamentalist convictions while engaging culture more broadly and academically. Fuller Theological Seminary and Christianity Today magazine exemplified this renewed evangelical vision, intellectually serious, culturally engaged, yet theologically conservative. The controversy also reshaped Christian education. Many conservatives left liberal institutions to found Bible colleges like Bob Jones University and Moody Bible Institute, nurturing a new generation devoted to biblical orthodoxy and ministry training. Mainline Protestant denominations, embracing modernism and social justice, experienced internal conflicts and membership decline, sparking ongoing debates about their theological trajectory. By the late 20th century, evangelicalism had gained prominence through media and political influence, while mainline churches wrestled with issues of biblical authority, sexuality, and doctrine. Though new controversies arose, the fundamental fault lines of the early 20th century continued to shape American Christianity. Today, the legacy of the Modernist-Fundamentalist Controversy persists. Questions about biblical trustworthiness, essential doctrines, and how faith interacts with culture remain central. The controversy may have faded in name, but its impact endures. Ultimately, this struggle was about the soul of American Protestantism, whether it would conform to modern culture or stand apart rooted in historic faith. The debate continues, inviting each generation to wrestle with faithfulness in changing times. If you found this journey through one of church history's most pivotal conflicts insightful, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the people, ideas, and movements that have shaped Christianity. Join us as we explore the past to better understand faith today.